It's interesting how something so simple can sometimes feel so powerful, isn't it? And as you're here considering the idea of fear, criticism, and the response to them, you may begin to notice something in your mind already shifting. Like a little ripple in the calm of a still pond. You see, when we look at something like fear of criticism, it's like having a lens that distorts how we see things. And with a simple shift, that lens can adjust, allowing the picture to become clearer, brighter, and full of possibilities. Now imagine this. You're walking down a path, and you notice a sign. It says, "Don't step here." And what happens next? Your mind starts thinking about what would happen if you didn't follow that instruction. What if I step there anyway? What if I make a mistake? But as you continue walking, you begin noticing that sign is just a sign. It's not reality. It's just information. And you can choose how you want to respond to it. In the same way, criticism is often just a sign, a suggestion, or a piece of feedback that you can take with a grain of salt and learn from, rather than something that defines you or your future. You've probably experienced those moments where a comment or criticism, it felt like a stone thrown in your direction. The weight of it landing, feeling heavy in your chest, maybe even questioning whether it's true or whether it's a reflection of you. But in those moments, something inside you can recognize that, just like any stone, it can be brushed off, and the feeling of heaviness can dissolve, just like water slipping off a leaf. Think about it for a moment. The feeling of being wrong. What does that really mean? What if being wrong was simply a step on the way to getting it right? After all, if you think about it, all growth, every skill, every lesson, every insight comes from trying, sometimes failing, then adjusting, shifting and evolving. In fact, the greatest success often has hidden within it the trail of moments where someone thought they were wrong, but in truth, they were just refining their approach, learning more about themselves and the world around them. And imagine now the idea of feedback. What if feedback is not a judgment on who you are, but simply a reflection of someone else's perspective? Just like looking in a mirror, the mirror shows you one side of a story, but you have the ability to look beyond the reflection, to see the deeper truth, and to appreciate the feedback as a tool, not a sentence. It's not something to fear or to run from, but rather something to embrace as a guide, a clue to what can be fine-tuned, improved or celebrated. And as you continue, notice the fear of criticism. That moment of hesitation begins to fade into the background. It's like a fog lifting after a long, quiet morning. With each breath you take, you can feel more confident in your ability to receive feedback with ease, understanding it doesn't change who you are, your purpose, your identity. It simply helps you to refine the path you're already on. It becomes something you can use, like a compass pointing in the direction of where you want to go. So as you reflect on these ideas just for a moment, consider the possibility that fear and insecurity, they're simply old stories you've been telling yourself. Stories you can begin to rewrite, reshape and reframe. Imagine now every time you feel that tightness or fear creeping in, you pause just for a second and breathe deeply. And in that pause, you remember, you have a choice to look at criticism not as something to fear, but as something to learn from, to grow from, and to use to strengthen the path you're already walking. When you think about all of your past choices, notice each one has led you to this moment where you're learning to step beyond doubt, beyond insecurity, and beyond fear. You're recognizing that there's no one perfect way to be, no right or wrong path, just the unfolding of your unique frequency. And in that unfolding, criticism, it has no power over you unless you give it that power. It's just information, just feedback, and you know how to use it to create exactly what you want. Each moment, each piece of feedback, each little reflection becomes part of your growing wisdom. And as you continue to move forward, notice those feelings of doubt and insecurity, they begin to soften, like clay being molded into something stronger, more resilient and more aligned with who you really are. Now isn't that something worth appreciating?